The airport is a bustling sea of travelers, some frantic, others calm. Amidst this chaos, Ella Jones, a poised black girl with a simple carry-on, approaches the gate. Her understated appearance garners a few dismissive glances, but Ella remains unbothered. Behind the counter, Karen Martin, a sharp, middle-aged flight dispatcher with a stern demeanor, eyes Ella with disdain. Karen's bias bubbles to the surface as Ella presents her boarding pass. "Are you sure this is your flight?" Karen sneers. Ella calmamente responde, "Sí, es así." Karen's tone sharpens. "Your ticket seems irregular. Step aside." Passengers turn their heads, sensing the tension. Ella, still composed, waits as Karen prolongs her humiliation. "Ma'am, I think you need to reconsider your attitude," Ella warns. Her words are soft yet firm, but Karen is unmoved. Finally, as if to cement her authority, Karen makes the shocking move of slapping Ella. Gasps ripple through the gate area. Ella's cheek burns, but her pride remains intact. Without a word, she steps away, pulling out her phone. Passengers whisper nervously. What could she possibly do? Karen smirks triumphantly, assuming she's won. Ella dials a number, her tone quiet, but commanding. "I want it done. Now." She ends the call, her expression unreadable. No one at the gate has any idea of the storm Ella is about to unleash. Karen revels in her perceived victory, addressing passengers as though nothing happened. Meanwhile, Ella stands near a window, her gaze steady, her fingers tapping her phone. The minutes tick by, the air thick with unspoken tension. Passengers exchange glances, clearly disturbed by the events they witnessed. Some consider intervening, but hesitate. Who is this woman, they wonder, and why didn't she retaliate? Ella's silence is unnerving. Karen, meanwhile, continues her act, dismissing Ella entirely. "Ladies and gentlemen, please prepare for boarding," Karen announces with her usual authority. As passengers begin lining up, Ella moves deliberately toward the counter. Karen notices her and snaps, "I told you to wait over there!" Ella doesn't flinch. Instead, she leans against the counter, watching Karen with calm intensity. "You think you have power, don't you?" Ella says, her voice barely above a whisper. Karen freezes, caught off guard by Ella's confidence. Before Karen can reply, the airport intercom interrupts. "Attention all passengers. Flight 721 has been delayed for 10 minutes. Please remain seated." The announcement sends ripples of confusion through the crowd. Karen frowns, irritated by the sudden change. "Why wasn't I informed?" she mutters, picking up her radio. But before she can demand answers, a man in a suit strides toward the gate. He's flanked by 2 assistants, their serious expressions alarming. Karen's smugness falters as the man stops in front of Ella and greets her warmly. "Ms. Jones, everything has been arranged," he says. Karen's jaw drops. Passengers whisper furiously. "Who is she?" one asks. Ella turns to face Karen, her calm replaced by icy resolve. "Now," Ella says, "let's discuss your behavior." The man introduces himself as one of the airline's senior executives. Karen stiffens, her confidence crumbling as the reality of the situation sets in. "Ms. Jones is now the majority owner of this airline," he announces. A collective gasp spreads through the crowd. Karen stares at Ella, stunned. "That's impossible," she stammers. Ella steps forward, her composed demeanor commanding attention. "Not impossible," she says. "Just unexpected. For you." Karen's mind races, trying to piece together what's happening. You bought the airline?" she sputters. Ella no respond directamente. Instead, she addresses the crowd. Moments like these reveal the truth about people. What you saw tonight isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a bigger problem. The passengers listen, enraptured by Ella's calm yet powerful words. Karen, however, is paralyzed with shame. She knows there's no escaping the consequences now. "Your actions have consequences, Karen," Ella continues. You judged me by my appearance and thought you could get away with it. But today, you'll learn that power doesn't lie in uniforms or titles. It lies in how we treat others. Karen's face flushes. I didn't mean, she starts, but Ella cuts her off. You meant every word. Now you'll own up to it. The executive steps forward again. Ms. Martin, you're hereby suspended pending further review, he declares. Karen's shoulders sag under the weight of his words. As Karen is escorted away, Ella turns back to the passengers. Let this be a lesson for all of us, she says. We're all human. Let's start acting like it. The air at the gate feels electric as Karen is led away, her head bowed in shame. Passengers murmur, trying to piece together the shocking revelation. A few approach Ella cautiously, their curiosity overpowering their reservations. Excuse me, an older man ventures. Are you really the owner now? Ella nods, her gaze steady. I've owned 6 airlines for years. Tonight, I added a 7th. Her words, spoken with quiet authority, send a ripple of awe through the onlookers. A young woman speaks up, her voice trembling. I saw what happened earlier. I wanted to say something, but I was scared. Ella's expression softens. It's never easy to stand up in moments like that, she says, but staying silent lets injustice thrive. The passengers nod in agreement, some visibly moved. Ella takes a moment to look around. Tonight wasn't just about Karen's actions, she continues. It was about how we all react when we see wrongs happening. Let's change that. Ella's words sink in, leaving the crowd in thoughtful silence. Meanwhile, Karen, seated in a corner far from the gate, wrestles with her guilt. Her shame is heavy, but so is the realization that she could lose everything. As the minutes tick by, an announcement signals the resumption of boarding. Passengers file in more subdued than before, their attitudes transformed. For the first time, Ella steps forward to board the plane, her presence commanding respect. Inside the plane, the atmosphere remains charged. Passengers glance at Ella, whispering among themselves. She walks calmly to her seat in first class, her elegance now undeniable to those who underestimated her before. A flight attendant nervously offers her a drink. Anything I can get for you, ma'am? They ask. Ella sonríe educadamente. Just water, thank you. Her composure is unshaken despite the events of the evening. In the back of the plane, the passengers continue discussing what happened at the gate. Many express admiration for Ella's grace and power. Others reflect on their own biases, realizing how easily they had judged her based on her appearance. Meanwhile, Karen's absence looms over the crew. A senior flight attendant, trying to maintain normalcy, explains that Karen's behavior is under review. The airline doesn't tolerate discrimination, they assure passengers. Ella listens quietly, her mind racing with thoughts about how to use this moment to inspire lasting change. She recalls her own struggles as a young black girl navigating the corporate world. Tonight, however, she has the power to rewrite the narrative. As the plane begins taxiing down the runway, Ella feels the weight of her responsibilities, not just as a business owner, but as a role model. The flight takes off, but for Ella, this journey is only beginning. Karen sits in the airport's employee lounge, staring at her trembling hands. Her once confident demeanor has crumbled. She replays the night's events in her mind, each moment filling her with regret. The slap, the humiliation, the revelation of Ella's power. It's too much to process. Karen knows she's on the verge of losing her job, but what hurts more is the realization that she was wrong. Deeply wrong. Why did I act like that? She mutters to herself. It wasn't the first time she'd let her biases dictate her actions, but it might be the last straw. A colleague cautiously approaches her. Karen, they're sending someone to talk to you, they say, their tone sympathetic. But you might want to think about what you'll say. Karen nods numbly. She doesn't have excuses, only shame. For the first time, she realizes the damage she's caused, not just to Ella, but to countless others she may have mistreated. As she waits, Karen remembers Ella's words. Change starts with acknowledgement. Maybe, just maybe, she can salvage what's left of her dignity by admitting her faults and promising to do better. Back on the plane, Ella notices a young black boy sitting a few rows behind her, staring at her with wide eyes. She motions for him to come closer. Hesitant at first, he shuffles up to her seat. "Hi," she says warmly. "What's your name?" "Jaden," he replies shyly. "Nice to meet you, Jaden. What do you want to be when you grow up?" "A pilot," he says, his voice stronger now. "But my dad says it's hard for people like us." Ella's heart aches. "It is hard," she admits, "but it's not impossible. You can be anything you want, Jaden. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Jaden's eyes light up. "Really?" "Really," Ella says with a smile. "And if anyone tries to stop you, remember this. You're stronger than you think." Their conversation catches the attention of nearby passengers, who smile at the interaction. Ella's ability to inspire extends beyond the business world. It's deeply human. Upon landing, Karen is waiting by the terminal. She looks humbled, her face pale with nerves. Ella steps off the plane, locking eyes with the woman who humiliated her hours earlier. Karen takes a deep breath and steps forward. "Ms. Jones," she begins, her voice shaking. "I want to apologize. What I did was unforgivable, and I'm deeply sorry. I judged you unfairly, and I hurt you. I don't expect forgiveness, but I need you to know that I'm committed to changing." The terminal falls silent as passengers gather around, watching the exchange. Ella studies Karen for a long moment before speaking. "Acknowledging your mistakes is the first step," she says. "But words are just the beginning. Show me, and everyone else, that you mean it." Karen nods, tears in her eyes. "I will," she promises. Ella addresses the gathered crowd. "Tonight wasn't just about what happened to me," she says. "It's about how we treat each other. Bias, discrimination, and judgment. These are things we can all work to change." Her words resonate deeply with everyone present. Even those who were mere bystanders feel a renewed sense of responsibility. As Ella leaves the airport, her phone buzzes with messages of support. She knows this night will be remembered, not because of her power, but because of the message she carried. Ella sonríe, pensando en Jaden y en todos los jóvenes soñadores que ahora podrían creer en sí mismos un poco más. The journey is far from over, but she's ready for it.